The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic marsal veins, so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented.
So, how's it been, man? So you were the valedictorian of our class of 2012, and then you moved on to WPI, correct?
Yep.
And now, and just formerly, you were a nuclear engineer, and now an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
By day, by night, this dude's yoked. He's a bodybuilder too, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, you've competed how many times now?
3 shows technically. So 2.
I thought it was 2. That's
Yeah.
amazing, dude.
One show didn't go too well, so I didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
But,
well, dude, the point is that you did it. A lot of people don't even get to that point. And that's actually that has a lot. There's a lot to be said about somebody who competes, because I've known a lot of people who have, and especially with your body type, it's probably not the easiest thing to lose and maintain that loss of weight and try to stay cut while exercising the whole time. That seems like the hardest part for anybody.
Yeah, you can really tell, like, when you're seeing other competitors and other people in the gym, you can tell who's using and who's not.
Yeah.
It's very distinctive, very clear at that.
Yeah.
WNBF, INBF, all natural, like polygraph tested, drug tested.
Yeah, tell them what the, Ryan McQuaid, by the way. Fucking Ryan McQuaid.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot. Yeah, he's got no name. No, so what are the types of competitions you competed in? Because I know there are, like you said, there's different levels of competition.
So there's your class, which is, men's physique or bodybuilding, or classic physique if you're in a different organization. But there's a couple organizations. There's OCP, NPC, INBF, WNBF.
Yeah.
INBF is the amateur side of the WNBF.
Yeah.
WNBF is when you get your pro card. You then compete in pro shows for money at that point.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
How close were you to that? I mean,
I'm hoping to go pro this year.
no kidding.
So
I was gonna say, you look a lot bigger in person than you do on Instagram. And if you guys haven't already, check out his Instagram. What is it? Just for the people who are listening, it's tagged below if you're watching YouTube.
Yeah, McQuaid.fit.
There you go, at Instagram. So check that out for sure. Very inspirational. Like I said, we were just talking about when you came in, how you hadn't posted in something in so long, and then you threw up that picture. I'm like, damn, dude, this guy's still at it. This guy's yoked too, and you're looking good. That's huge. I mean, I've always been here and there with it. It's just been so my mind is just so scatterbrained, and I can't take pre-workouts anymore because I won't sleep if I like I can take them, but I have to know and be okay with not sleeping that night.
I can
and
see
that
that
sucks, dude.
You should check out Havoc pre-workout. Very low amount of caffeine.
Okay.
Because I used to take high level pre-workouts, like 400 milligrams of caffeine.
You'd love my business partner Matt Karen. Shout out to Matt Karen. He's all about. He's got it's got 350 megs.
Yeah, well, so I can't do that stuff anymore. But Havoc pre-workout, it's more on the supplements in it that give you that energy boost rather than.
Oh, so it's like nootropic? Is that what it's called? Nootropic?
I don't exactly know. I think that's something new, a new term that just kind of came out, isn't it?
Okay, I think so. It's usually, I think it refers to a stimulant a non-stimulant chemical or things that helps you stay focused, because that's really what you gain the most of when you're taking caffeine, is that slight advantage because it's a mild stimulant, a slight extra bit of focus. Because when I'm working out and I take caffeine, that's all I'm doing is working out. When I'm working out without caffeine, I got the whole rest of the day that I'm usually thinking about. So for me, my consistency in the gym has been faltering big time, just scatterbrained to the max.
I mean, I've been doing 6 days a week right now for workouts, and
well, when's your competition?
Competition will be.
You're not too far out.
September 26th.
Okay.
So it's 115 days or something like that. But the next show I want to do is 10/24, October 24th.
Yeah.
And that's actually my coach's show.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that's the Granite State Open. I was actually telling her about you, and she was like, "You should have him hit me up at some point and see if she can send any bodybuilders your way."
Oh, for what, my gym?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
You need, people in the area, because she has a lot of clients in Mass. So.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, who are listening and are in the athletic or bodybuilding or any type of rehabilitation, and you're trying to increase not only your functionality but overall strength and mobility, definitely hit me up, shout out, because New England Functional Fitness, once this whole quarantine's over, is a great place to go. I can't say enough good things about all the awesome coaches. We have an extremely ambitious staff of people who work hand in hand with physical therapists to help people, of all different types of, whether you're just trying to improve your golf swing or you're trying to improve your overall functionality. We even work with a lot of first responders and stuff. So
that's really
it's
good
fun.
stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny how similarly we kind of like your hobbies have really been like essentially what I've been doing for work, considering how different we were in school. Like I was just I was just fucking around the whole time. I was pretty much his pain in the ass. We were always on good terms, but I mean, we would chase each other around with a hammer every now and then. More me than him, I think. Just because this dude was your local Tony Stark back in the day with robotics, because you were like freaking head of the team.
I don't do any of that stuff anymore, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So let's dive into your background, because I think a lot of people are super interested in that stuff. So, being a graduate of Pathfinder, you were in electrical engineering essentially, but on a high school level, right? That was like electronics, right? So we were working with.
So I'll stop you at that point.
Okay.
So, the engineering logbooks that we did at Pathfinder. So that got me through my engineering courses in college. Like,
wow.
Minus like 4 of them.
Seriously? So they were that consistent
good,
to college?
concise, like relatable. Literally, awesome. I kept it with me 4 years of school, and I would still reference it like senior year, be like, oh, that's what that was. Okay.
No kidding.
But like once you got into the power side, which is like my like in-depth background now, it kind of didn't help me at that point. That's more of the like electrical shop.
Oh wow.
Because like I work with like high voltage stuff now, like 3-phase systems, AC current. So
do you still do a lot of stuff with like the oscilloscopes and
nope,
and all
none of that
no.
stuff.
Okay,
haven't touched it.
I was gonna say, because you're talking to a chimp here. If I was to even try to talk about what you did, I would sound like an idiot. So what is mostly the basis of what you did? Let's start at your college experience. Now, I was thinking too today, because isn't MIT a big college for engineers too?
Yep.
What was the dividing factor between WPI and MIT? Because I know you could have gone to both, considering your grades, right? Considering your grades and the amount of scholarships you had coming out. What did you come out of college with, or come out of high school with for scholarships? It was some ridiculous amount of money.
I paid roughly $8,000. I took out an $8,000 loan for school.
And you went
WPI.
to oh my god! And how many years of WPI?
That was 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So
that's awesome.
Bachelor's degree and whatnot. But as far as the difference between MIT and WPI, I felt like I was gonna fail out of MIT.
Yeah. Really?
That's the honest answer.
Just turn this around. How come?
Basically, I sort of figured that it was going to be a very difficult school. Everybody there is going to be really freaking smart. WPI, everybody was really smart, but like it wasn't. There's a different caliber at MIT. Like you're talking WPI is like probably here, and then like MIT is like one of the top 10. Like WPI is like top 10 in some things, but not everything. MIT is
right
there.
At the top.
So I figured like at WPI I'd get more help. Like I'd be able to work with people, talk to professors, really get stuff done.
That's smart.
And it kind of made sense to me. And I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, I want to graduate. Right. So at MIT, I was like, it would be very rough. And
that's a smart move, because you would have gone to a school where only the best of the best of the best would be accepted. And
everybody would be cutthroat.
Yeah, exactly. So there'd be no room for somebody to learn. And that's kind of, it's funny, because that's kind of a way I've always been with my education. Is I'm a good learner, but I'm a slow learner. You know what I mean? So sometimes speed doesn't really work in my benefit, because I was terrible when I went to college and had to learn things that I was really bad at, like math. Not a good person at math. I know you probably can't relate, but...
So you might not know this, though. So remember Miss Luz and Mr. Moriarty?
Yeah.
So... Jack and I had gone to WPI from Pathfinder, and we talked to them, and we were like, we need your help. And over the summer before college, they tutored us in calculus.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so we went there, like, I think it was every Tuesday and Thursday, and like did calculus with them for an hour. And when we got to WPI and started taking calc, we were still screwed. Like, it was very difficult, had to like spend hours learning it. But like, if we didn't do that with them, we probably would have flunked out.
No kidding.
Having 9, or what is it? What do we have? 100?
Oh, we had 150. 50 to 170 people in our class. Is that what you're wondering?
Not the class number. I think graduating was 141.
141, yeah. Because I was 140. No, I had no idea what I was.
No, it's the amount of days that we had academics versus the amount of days that we had shop.
Yeah.
And so basically a normal high school student had double the amount of academic days that we had at a higher caliber high school.
Holy shit.
So like when we
went that's
in
gonna
there,
say, yeah, so if you went to a regular high school, you would have had
like
just
saying,
straight
like,
through academics.
Yeah, if I would have went to Ware High instead of Pathfinder, I would have been fine in college.
But what about the edge that it gave you in the major itself, going to Pathfinder?
By far, it made it super easy.
Yeah.
Like my first probably 6 electrical engineering courses, I did nothing. I said I went to lecture a bit, not a lot, but I still got A's in the courses.
Yeah, hands down, that's one thing I can vouch for just out of observing other people's experiences. That hands-on experience will always trump academic experience when you're trying to apply it later in life, especially in an academic field. Because, for instance, one of my business partners, he was just on. He was the last person on the podcast. He's in PT school, going for his doctorate of physical therapy, and he's been in the field as a rehab technician and strength and conditioning coach with us. Him now going into college for it and taking his clinicals. This is all like, I do this. This is what I do for work. You know what I mean? Like it's easy where everybody else is just figuring it out. This is the first time working with a patient, the first time touching a leg. You know what I mean? So all that stuff is brand new. So for you, probably going into it, you right away were like, oh yeah, I know what a soldering iron is or something, whatever it is.
There's still a challenge, but it made it easier.
Yeah.
So, but
that's pretty cool. Do you still touch base with anybody else besides like the math teachers? You ever talk to Eric Duda or anybody?
Not too much. I did for a little bit. I talked to Dr. Pace for a little while too.
I went in there and just said hi to everybody at one point a while back. It's been a while now, but it was cool seeing Dr. Pace and Eric. Now Mr. Dude is running the place there. He's the principal. So
okay,
right?
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
No.
Oh my gosh, That's cool. So he's the principal.
He was gunning for that for a while.
Yeah, so. he was definitely prepping for an administrative position for sure. And Mr. Thompson, I don't think you've ever had Mr. Thompson.
I did.
You did? Oh, no kidding. Okay. He retired recently.
I think
shout out to Mr. Thompson. That dude's a fucking legend. He was like, I remember one time in the hallway, this is his personality. Like somebody in the hallway was like, "What's up, Mr. Thompson?" And he's like, "My blood pressure." You know what I mean? Like he had that kind of. I really appreciated his sense of humor, and it goes a long way with kids if you're also a magician. Like who is that? You know what I mean? He's awesome in that way. But so what was it like working? What nuclear power plant did you work at?
Okay,
it was a power plant, right?
Yeah, so I started off and I interned my junior year for a company called Zachary Nuclear.
Yeah.
The one I was at was in Stonington, Connecticut, and they did stuff with the nuclear power plant out there. I forget the exact name of it, but that was what introduced me to the nuclear field.
Okay.
And then I took like Physics 3, quote unquote, for fun, which was by a nuclear professor like in college. So that was like our specialty, which got me more interested in it. And then that prompted me to apply to a job with NextEra Energy at Seabrook Station up in New Hampshire. So like, you know where Hampton Beach is? Yeah. The inlet for the Cirque water is 2 miles out from Hampton Beach for the nuclear plant. And if you're like there, you can kind of see the plant over in that direction.
Okay. So is there like, do you work near radiation? Like what's that like? Like most people don't even go near a nuclear power plant. They're pretty far away from residential property, right? I mean, I've seen them from airplanes, and that stack is like pushed back near body of water all the time. Like I flew over. I recently went to Arizona. Awesome time, and I flew there during the day, of course, window seat, plane's empty, and I got to see this like nuclear power plant and all of the power lines connecting to it. It looked like a freaking circuit board. It was the coolest thing to see from that height.
They're pretty well laid out. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and most people have this. There's this really bad rap for nuclear power plants. What would you say to somebody who's super worried about a nuclear power plant who doesn't know anything? They just think A-bomb. or Fukushima.
It's one of the safest places you could work.
Yeah.
Or even be around. Like
forms of energy wise.
Just one of the safest places in general.
Yeah.
Like the rule or the goal for the company that I was at was 0 OSHA recordables. I don't know, like, I mean, you are familiar with OSHA?
Oh, of course.
But
dude, I was a painter for 4 years and I got busted by OSHA in that time. You know what I mean? Like,
so it's super hard to have a job and have a company with 0 OSHA recordables, and these guys were pretty freaking close to it. So like, if there was like a natural disaster or something, like a nuclear power plant would be one of the safest places to be.
No
like,
kidding.
They have everything set up where like workers can like basically live there if they wanted to.
Oh, really? So there's like
there's beds,
residential
there's
quarters
stuff.
and stuff. Or
Not
residential,
it's
but like a living quarters.
Stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha.
There's like showers in it too, and like cafeterias and stuff, and like you could run that place by itself like for a while.
Don't make any mistakes. They'll end up calling you Johnny Chernobyl, Johnny Chernobyl or whatever. You wouldn't want that nickname in a power plant.
Probably not. Probably not at all. But yeah, I got a little sick of the nuclear side of stuff. There's a lot of testing.
Well, yeah, just what? Yeah, what is the job of an engineer in a nuclear power plant? I mean, are you just making sure the levels of everything, or are you doing any repairing?
There's different engineers, people who do repairs or technicians. So they're the ones hands-on. And then the engineers, there's design engineers, there's systems engineers. There's a couple other types of engineers as well. Essentially, I was a design engineer, so that meant that any like new upgrade to the plant or thing that broke and needed to be swapped out, I would go and vet out the system, make sure whatever we want to replace it with will work, and then basically like make and design the drawings, and then send everything out to the technicians, order all the parts, and procurement would order all the parts, and then they would go and put it in. And then I would go into the field and watch them testing, make sure they're doing it right. Anything that they need to change or modify, I would then take the project package, modify it, and then send it back to them. But it was a lot of testing, like for like getting requirements to be able to work. So like I took like, I think it was 201 exams when I was there.
Oh my God.
So I was done with it after like 3 years.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't like this anymore.
Where were you living when you worked there?
I was living in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
So that's when you had the condo out there?
Yep, condo out there, and then went and got an apartment on Islington Street, which was like a 5-minute walk from like downtown.
Oh, no kidding.
So like, and it was a 16-minute drive to work.
Yeah.
So like, it was just the perfect place to be.
Now, does Jack do something similar to you? Because I know he was in computer-aided drafting, but right?
So he went.
Shop, right?
He was in CAD, but he went to WPI for mechanical engineering. And now he's working, I believe, as like a field service engineer.
Okay. Because I always feel like he's not too far from you. Did he work near you or work for the same power plant or something?
No. He actually works for his dad's ATM company.
Oh, no kidding.
So it's like, I believe he like. His dad may pass the company down to him. Yeah. So, like, he's just sort of doing engineering work for him.
I mean, business is business.
Yeah, he does a lot of travel for work where he'll, like, head out to New York, like, oversee, like, ATMs being swapped out, do service upgrades to them.
Is it a popular brand of ATM? I know there's certain distributors.
I don't know the exact details, but I know they work with a couple different banks, like, you know, Bank of America, Citizens Bank, places like that. But, I mean, hey, you could bring him on and...
Yeah, I'll have to reach... I have a list, and people keep recommending me, and I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm going to run out of people, but I keep running into, like, oh, that would be a great person.
I actually have a good friend who's a gym owner.
Really?
Out in Worcester. It's called React Fitness.
No shit.
It's a martial arts studio type thing.
Oh, wow.
So he'd be a cool guy.
I gotta have him on. Give me his name.
Halsey Vandenberg.
Okay. Well, shout out and shoot me that in the DMs as well. I'll reach out to him. Him, yeah. So, what made you switch to electrical engineering? I mean, how did that come about?
So, I mean, I graduated from WPI with an electrical and computer engineering degree.
Yeah.
So I was essentially doing electrical engineering at the nuclear plant, but everything was nuclear quality level.
Okay.
Meaning, so basically it was normal electrical engineering, but there was just so much more extra stuff packed into that you had to make sure it was right. Okay. So switching entirely to like, instead of like private electrical engineering to like sort of commercialized electrical engineering meant there's a lot of less checks, everything can be done faster. So when I was at the plant, I maybe did like 8 or 9 projects, if that. And when I was over in the Seaport in Boston area for a consulting firm, I probably cranked out, I don't know, at least 40 projects in a year and a half.
Yeah.
So like quadruple what I was able to do at the new plant. So, and like,
Who do you work for now?
Well, right now I'm unemployed.
Oh, really? So you're just stepping into this new...
Yeah, so due to COVID-19, I was actually laid off from the...
no kidding.
Yeah.
The power plant?
Not the power plant. So I had... let me give the details on the background.
I gotcha.
We'll build up to this.
Okay, I gotcha.
So I was at the nuclear power plant for about 3 years-ish. I left there when I got a job offer for WB Engineers and Consultants in the Seaport, which is basically like a MEP firm, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, where they help with architects and clients design their buildings and make sure everything's up to code. And I worked there for roughly a year and a half. And then when the whole COVID thing happened, I believe March 31st, I was laid off. And so from there, I was like, all right, I'll apply to more jobs and see what's going on. I don't know, I had a big chunk of change in my savings account, so I wasn't too worried about anything. But like talking to engineering firms and companies throughout this has been like super easy. I've been on like a ton of like video interviews, did a couple in-person ones, and then I had an offer for one out in Boston. But right now I'm focused on like working at a good company, a place that like I feel like I'll fit in with the culture and everything. And so I actually turned it down, which is weird, like turning down a job like when it's like a good offer and like a nice stable company. But I got another offer in Framingham, and that's for another company that's similar to exactly what WB was doing, except they're a bit more pharmaceutical based. Yeah. So at WB, you could maybe crank out a project in like 2 to 6 weeks. Right. And at this company that
what is a project? Like, what would a project be for you there?
At the new place or at WB?
Yeah, the new WB.
So a project would be, say, like, say you buy an office building and want to set up an office. Yeah. And you have conference rooms, meetings rooms, cafeteria. You got like all these different types of rooms. Yeah. So for me, I would design the fire alarm system. I would design all the lighting, or the architect would design the lighting, and I would design all the controls for the lighting, and talk to lighting reps and make sure everything works right. I would create and design the power system for it so everything can get powered. So if you have desks or lab equipment or like things that need power, I would create the whole system for that.
No kidding.
There's a couple other things I would go over, like notes and details.
So it's like macro circuit board type of stuff, because you're wiring essentially an entire building to work.
It's electrical building systems. That's basically what it is.
No kidding. That must be wild. That must feel really cool when you complete that too.
I don't know if you saw it back in high school, but Jack had designed like a building in CAD and had to build it, and I powered the building.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, I think I may have seen something like that. I remember he had his awesome computer, and he built. I've seen a few things briefly that he was, because he ended up finding himself a place on the team at one point because of his computer aiding drafting skills, because you could make the. All the prototypes, if you will, of the right. Kinda. What was it? Was it like the outlines, the blueprints?
Yeah, he basically designed the robot in SolidWorks, so we had a digital version of the robot. Yeah, but it actually worked. So I remember that scissor lift. You could expand it and close it with the robot in SolidWorks, which was kind of neat.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah. So then what? So now you don't work for WB now, correct?
Yeah.
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID, yeah. Okay. So laid off because of that. And then I've been applying to jobs, and there's one out in Framingham that they sent me the offer on Friday and asked me to get back to them on Monday. But I have 2 more interviews next week, so I'm going to potentially ask for an extension.
We have a hell of a resume, I'm sure.
I should have brought it with me.
No, yeah, I know, right? No matter what, you'll end up with something.
Yeah,
that's the good news.
I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily want to come back out to this area because I really like Boston. But I was talking to you about it before, where it's like maybe I'll do the like hour commute for like a year or 2. Like enjoy Boston still.
You're a brave man. That's a sucky commute. I mean, I have a half-hour commute. Hour, I feel like, because it's like if you're working out 8-hour day, it's a 10-hour day because you have to drive. Yep. You know what I mean? But
yeah, there's an opportunity to work from home like 3 days out of the week. So like it's doable.
Right.
There's a thought behind it. But there's the reason this company is like on the radar right now, especially with the offer they gave me, is that they have a big focus on career development. It's like it was literally in the office.
Is it a new company?
No, I think they've been around for quite a few years.
What do they do mostly?
They do the same thing WB does, except they're more focused on like the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
So they've been considered essential workers, which is why they're still hiring right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's huge. Pharmaceutical industry is constantly growing.
And due to that, they do a bit more. It's a bit more of an intense design. So it's kind of like it seems like it's a step up from WB in the design work. So like the next stage in like the engineering career.
Yeah.
So it sort of makes sense with the flow of things.
That's pretty awesome, man. Good for you. And I hope you end up landing it. They haven't heard back from them. When did you reach out? Or you have?
Well, they sent the offer on Friday.
Oh, they sent you an offer.
Yeah. They offer with the amount they want to pay me, like the benefits package, all that
How'd
stuff
it look?
included. It looks good.
Pays better than selling soda. For those of you who went to school with us, man, this is the guy. If you wanted a snack midday, it was him you called.
I felt like after like doing like fitness stuff now, I feel so bad about selling people soda and high school.
Soda and candy.
No, I didn't do candy. It was
wasn't it? You had Laffy Taffies at one point.
Dylan Benavides.
Oh yeah,
tried to steal my business. And then who was the other kid?
There was like some serious capitalism going on with this whatever.
We were trying to bully each other out of the market.
Because it's like, okay, you can buy a 12-pack of Coke for what was it, like $4?
It was like $3, and you could buy a 24-pack for $5.
There you go, and then sell each one for $1. It's easy money.
I spent like $700 on soda once. Like,
I remember Dylan. He made the churros, and then oh god, that was so funny. Who was it? Who was Will Stebbins ate all of them and never paid them.
Oh, who's
Dude,
that?
Funny times.
The kid Steve in the shop would always try to steal the sodas.
Oh gosh, I forget his last name.
Yeah,
probably better.
I had to put a lock on my backpack.
Yeah. Oh man, we had a great time. I look back in high school and I really enjoyed some of the times. You know, I haven't seen Deo in a long time. He was somebody who I saw pretty frequently.
Really? Isn't he still in the area?
He's in Connecticut now.
Oh,
he lives in Connecticut now, and I'm not sure what he's doing. But I'll have to. I reached out to him and almost ended up linking up with him and going out for a night, and then this COVID thing kicked in, and it just put the shutdown on everything. So, but yeah, no, that's pretty cool, man. What are your takes? I mean, what's your opinion on like how the industry is going? Because this is something I wanted to talk to you about, being an engineer, and you probably have some pretty good opinions on the way the future might look in the next 5 to 10 years. You know, with Elon Musk and these self-driving cars. I mean, how much longer? Because I know it's a little controversial. I always say it with a lot of confidence. Like probably 5 to 10 years, most cars, if not all cars in production, will have an self-driving software. And I mean, what do you think? Because I mean, at this point, automotive industry compared to the electromotive industry it's like comparing a horse to a car. Yeah, it's getting there. You know what I mean? What do you think about that? Because I know it's something we're on that cusp of a very large industry being completely wiped out of existence. Because that's going to be a complete game changer for anybody in logistics, like driving.
There's a lot of hurdles with it. So I have some friends from WPI. Some of their like capstone, like their major qualifying projects, which is like their thesis, were based on self-driving cars. I have some friends that work out in the Seaport area too, that work for autonomous vehicle companies. So like there's companies literally designed and like based around the fact of like self-driving vehicles, but there's been a lot of roadblocks for them, a lot of like different things that come up, and they're like, oh well, I didn't think about that, and then it takes another 6 months to do
What's
something.
An example of one, do you know?
It's just like the coding of it, like the basic what's that psychology test or something, where it's like you control the train, there's 4 people over here, there's one person you know.
How do you determine better?
Which one you kill? That's going to always be the caveat with self-driving vehicles. Obviously, they're going to try to make it as safe as possible.
Right.
But like, it's going to come down to that at the foundation of it is like how it's coded and what the vehicle chooses to do, because it will do that action. So like just like coding robotics,
it's just autonomous. It's just gonna go, and even if there's a thing in the way, it's still gonna be like, you know what I mean? So, though I do wonder, because there's at least at some point, it seems in every regard, when you compare humans to computers, that computers usually are more refined than human. Rather, there seems like in a lot of instances there's more human error, especially when it comes to certain things that require computing, and everything can be sort of sort of shaved down to just a level of computing, like driving itself. I mean, think about the amount of human error that's involved in driving.
So I think an issue with it will be that, like, you know how Tesla rolled out the subscription package for auto driving, right? Where if you buy a Tesla now, you pay an extra $7,000 a year or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
For what?
I thought it was something like that, so that the car can self-drive.
Oh, is it a year or is it just the package? You get like $7,000. It costs $7,000 to put that in
I don't
the
know
car.
the details. I do know it was like $7,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's for the lifetime you have the vehicle, but I do know somebody bought a used Tesla and they didn't get this subscription with it, so their vehicle wasn't capable of self-driving because they didn't have it.
Wow.
So it's like, it's gonna be a money maker.
Oh, big time, one way or another. But what I think what's going to happen is they're going to try to turn the market, because the moment they release all the statistics behind, and this is something that comes up a lot with this whole pandemic. I mean, people are throwing out every death statistic out there, and and I'm somewhat guilty of that as well, because sometimes I'm thinking, well, how much? I'm not a big fan of fear. I guess that's my thing. I'm always trying to find a way around being afraid of being alive, right? But if you were to try to convince say you're trying to shift the market and everybody needs, now you want everybody to need a self-driving vehicle. You just go, well, hey, every day 3,000 whatever people on the planet die from vehicular homicide or something, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you could be like, what? So I mean, they throw that out there, and then all of a sudden they start, they start twisting arms to get only self-driving cars out
I think
there.
it will be a thing eventually. It's going to be a lot of work to make it happen, but like, I don't even know how they would begin to test it out. That's the thing. It's like, it's going to take a lot of thought, a lot of like urban planning, a lot of like.
Well, that's probably what Tesla's doing with the small amount of cars they have out there. I mean, they have a lot of cars out there, but you know what I mean? The ones that are doing the self-driving, some people love it, you know what I mean? And so that's probably a great basis for trial and error.
It comes down to the fact of, can your vehicle get hacked? And like
that too. That's the scary thing.
I think Tesla has a thing where they have people try to hack their vehicles, and if
I'm sure they do.
They reward them like a fee or fun.
I would assume, because if you really think about it, anybody in the tech industry who has a device like an iPhone or a MacBook or just a regular PC or these cars, I mean, hacking is a big deal these days, because that's probably where the next war will be fought. I mean, if you think about it, because all it comes down to it, since everything's now, I mean, look at the stock market; it's completely it's all computer based now.
Yeah, nuke plants are
nuclear
still
power
analog.
plant. Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
There's phases of security. I actually.
Yeah, what is the security on it?
You could probably look it up. I don't know if I can talk about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but look it up at some point.
Did you have a lot of did you come across a lot of like classified stuff in your time working in a power plant?
I don't necessarily say like things were classified, but it's like, you just know that like you probably shouldn't be talking about it to the public type thing. You know, like there's phases of security and there's different ways to do stuff. But like there's a simple thing you can talk about, which is like the data diode, which is like information can go one way, it can't go the other way. So like you can't hack the system because of that.
So I wanted to talk about just briefly too. Explain how clean nuclear energy is, because like I mentioned before, it gets a really bad rap because of all these failed, power plants in the past, and the fact that there's a nuclear reactor inside of a nuclear power plant. Correct? I mean,
so
how clean is that compared to coal? Or
it's the most efficient source of renewable energy. Yeah. So like when people talk about nuclear power plants, they don't consider it as like a green energy or like a renewable energy. Yeah. But like you can't generate that much energy with pretty much anything else like in the country that of that size.
That's crazy.
So like you have like a plant. Wow. I wish I would have brushed up on nuclear stuff now. But
well, I mean, here's one. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that nuclear power plants, their emissions is just steam, right? Is it just steam that comes out of the?
Well.
Or is that where the power is coming from? Is it a matter of really just steam power
there's because heat that comes off. There's a PWR and BWR is a boiling water reactor and a pressurized water reactor. Okay. So there is steam involved, but as far as like I guess like trash coming from it, it's like you have the fuel and you have like the used fuel. So there's a thing called a spent fuel pool at every single nuclear power plant, and the fuel pellets that get used up and depleted, they get stored in these steel containers and then placed, I believe, in like a type of cement, and then get put into the spent fuel area. And so this almost all fuel, I believe all fuel ever created at any nuclear plant has always stayed there. It's never left.
Really?
So like the fuel doesn't go anywhere.
What is the fuel? Just nuclear waste?
Yeah, it's just nuclear waste at that point, where it's like it's just put in containers. It's
how do you get rid of nuclear waste? Because that's a byproduct, obviously. Of
that wasn't my job.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not gonna try to explain.
I was gonna say, I heard that's the toughest part about it, is that you got to put this. What is nuclear waste? Is it just? It's
literally just the spent fuel. It's like you have this fuel that can be used, and then once it's all used up, there is something left, and that can't be tossed into the environment. You can't just throw that in the trash. So it has to be put somewhere where it decays, and then whatever amount of time it takes for it to decay, and then it's like safer, and then other processes occur. And I'm giving you the rough overview.
No,
I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Hey, you have more experience than I think most people with this. So
yeah, maybe.
I mean, how long did you work there?
It was roughly 3 years, but you got to know a lot. You got to know everything about it, and like you got to really stay on your game and keep doing like the research and like training on it. So like at the end of the day, I was like, I don't want to like still be learning about this stuff anymore. You know, you get bored of it at one point.
Did you work with like a lot of scientists and stuff like that?
Not really scientists, mostly engineers.
Just engineers,
but like I would work with like hand in hand with systems engineers or the technicians. So like I got to know a lot of those people. Actually, one of the guys, Artie, was the one that kind of got me into bodybuilding a little bit.
Okay. Is that kind of when you started? When
maybe.
did you start with all that? Because it was sort of out of nowhere. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, you're competing. I remember working out with you once at WPI, which was awesome.
It sort of started like at the end of WPI. Like I was working out in college and stuff, but I didn't really know what I was doing then. I like had workouts that I did and like would try cool stuff. But as soon as like I graduated, I was like, I sat down, literally the day that I took my last class and like last exam, and like everybody had started partying already. It was like 2 p.m. or something in the afternoon. We had this study suite in the fraternity house I lived in. And I like went into the study suite, locked myself in it, and I sat down for like 2 hours, and I was like, what do I want to do with my life now? Which was like kind of cool. But I literally I got like a dry erase marker.
Say you had a YouTube channel. You even ended up accumulating like some revenue. When I say some revenue, it might have been dollars and cents, but it's hard to do that on YouTube now. Like you need, I think, 1,000 subscribers to even start.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like so hard. I forget what year it was. I think it was like 2016. They call it a YouTube apocalypse, where they shifted all of their policies.
I think it was 2018.
2018?
Because I graduated in 2016, so it was doable then.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I sat down and I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And I wrote down like 40 different things on a whiteboard, and then just tried to consolidate them, and ended up with like a few things. And like working out and being healthy and like fit was one of them. And so it stemmed off from that, where I was like, how can I continue to have a better version of myself every single year?
Dude, that's awesome.
So at the end of the day, it was like, what if I compete once a year? I bulk up, cut down, and I have a better body at the end of it each time.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to do it the right way. So that guy Artie I was telling you about, he's a pro bodybuilder.
Really?
He got his pro card at my coach's show. And actually, he was the one that introduced me to my coach. We worked out at the same gym up in Portsmouth. So the one rule at the gym was there are no rules. So it was a cool gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
But they had like 5 locations or 4.
Isn't that the worst? You go into so many gyms these days, and it's like, no chalk, don't make noise. Don't put the weights on here. You know what I mean? There's like all these like weird, like let's stick to the point where don't wear a cutoff. Like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean you could work out shirtless in this gym, like
that's pretty
throw
cool.
on chalk around, do whatever you want. But like the biggest thing was that they let you like record there. So when I was doing the YouTube thing, like that was easy. Where some gyms won't let you even record.
So, dude, absolutely. There are gyms that'll get on your ass for even just, it's ridiculous. Biggest ones like Planet Fitness, and I hate to bash them completely, but like at the same time, they are cheap as far as a gym to go to, but you got this environment that's quote unquote judge-free zone, but it's the only place that actually judges you. You know what I mean? Like based off of what you're doing in there, the building is wired to yell at you if you're too loud. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's judgment-free, but it judges you if you don't fit its categories.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't fall in line, it's like it sounds the alarm. That would be embarrassing, you know, because you never know when you put something down, it's a little too loud. It's always obviously a good goal to make sure when you're putting the weights down, you put them down quietly, you know. It's kind of like a control factor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You always take care of the stuff. But like things break, things wear down.
Yeah.
So like owning a gym, you got to deal with that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I know. It's all the time. And that's going to be tough for a lot of gyms because with this whole thing, I don't know how a lot of places are going to come back from it because social distancing. I mean, they'll really have to push that, you know, it's safe. What's your take with all this? What's your life been like ever since this came about in the life of Ryan McQuaid?
Since COVID?
Yeah.
I was working from home completely for an amount of time. When did COVID start? Was that the beginning of March?
It was pretty much our lockdown. Yeah, our lockdown because we had to close our business on the 24th.
Okay.
Exactly 6 months after we started the business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, almost.
Yeah, close enough. Right?
Close enough. But yeah, it was like right on the 24th, and that was it.
So I would say like I was working from home for a good amount of time, and then like that layoff happened, and I was doing workouts and like working with my coach. We would hash stuff out, but all I had was 2 10-pound dumbbells and a resistance band, and so I was doing workouts for like 3 weeks like that, and when I tell you I was sick of it, I was sick of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore. Like I was doing these like weird calisthenic things, and like you just know when something's not working for your body. Like you can.
It's
tell.
hard to be progressive, like to do progressive overload with bands. Bands are great. I'm a big fan of bands when it comes to trying to increase like mobility or even like functionality. Like finite functionality, you know what I mean? Just like small ranges of motion.
So my focus was on the central nervous system.
Yeah.
Like, you know, doing weird things that like strengthen secondary muscle groups that you don't really use in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I was like trying to do it at a time where it's like, you know, I have time to spend on it.
Yeah.
But 3 weeks of that, I was like, no.
Yeah.
So I called my mom and I was like, I'm coming back home, wear a mask, do whatever you got to do, clean stuff down.
Yeah.
And I'm taking my whole weight set from high school.
Oh, you got it. You had one at home?
Yeah, I had a squat rack, a bench, 420 pounds of weight, 2 Olympic bars, dumbbells.
Good for you, man.
So I got all that stuff.
Essentially, $1 million worth of product. Have you seen that?
People it's selling, so high right now.
Selling dumbbells. Like there was this set of 15-pound dumbbells for $150 on the Facebook.
Maybe I should sell my 10-pound ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say you sell like a barbell for $1,000. Who was selling? Oh my gosh, I think it was like a set. It was like a barbell with weights for like $1,000 or something.
That's insane.
That was ridiculous.
But like I got that, and my roommate who I lived with, he was so not roommate, but he has another bedroom. I have one bedroom.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, so I can work remotely until October. So I'm gonna go to my girlfriend's parents' beach house.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, so you're telling me I have the whole place to myself? And he was like, yep. And I was like, I'm gonna turn the living room into a gym. So I got mats down and everything.
Good
put
for
the
you,
whole
man.
weight set up.
Dude, that's huge. So. Turning the living room. I definitely am a big advocate of turning the living room into a productive area. Because it's sort of like a staple in most people's homes where it's just a place where you do nothing.
Yeah, it's the lazy room.
It's the lazy room. You go in there to sit down. Technically, that's what you're doing. You're sitting down and looking.
It's weird how they call it the living room, right?
Yeah, it's the dying room. You're literally and I am guilty of this. Okay, I'm totally guilty of this because I can't tell you how many times a day where I'll come home, and just sitting there, and then that's 35 minutes, 45 minutes on TikTok. You know what I mean?
You do need
I
to
hate
unwind,
myself
though.
when I do that, huh?
You need to unwind.
It is good to unwind. Yeah, that's obviously very true. It's important,
especially if you commute or anything like that.
If you commute, or
you should
or
set
whatever.
aside a half hour to just do nothing or absorb content.
Being able to be completely thoughtless for a second. That's important. I know it sounds silly, but that's super important because if you're a busy person and you have a lot on your mind, the hardest thing is to have nothing on your mind. And if you can do something or anything, it'll definitely help you be productive when it's time. That's huge. What are some tips for people who are competing? Because I know if there is people who are listening, and competing is not as easy as it sounds.
It is not.
Like we were just touching base. You now, so from what I gather from it, and from what I've seen people put themselves through, you included, you not only have to maintain a certain weight, so that way you can maintain a certain level of definition, but that also comes with that same level of exercise, right? And now you can be, a little. You don't have as much calories coming in sometimes. That that's what it might mean. And if you have less calories coming in, you're gonna have lower levels of energy. You can get exhausted pretty quickly. You know what I mean? If you're not keeping up with this perfect regimen.
So, tips for people that want to compete. I guess the best way to do it would be is don't just jump into a diet. Like, don't go into a caloric deficit immediately. That's what most people will do.
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to basically baseline yourself. You want to spend 2 to 3 weeks consuming food and slightly increasing your calories. And maybe it turns out you're under eating. And sometimes when you start to eat more food, you'll start to drop weight.
Yeah.
So like
I found that to be very true because then all of a sudden you're more fueled, and that can bump up your metabolism. That's one thing I work with a lot of people on. So for those of you who either work with me or are working on yourself and trying to lose weight, know that eating is key. You can't in any diet avoid eating. You know what I mean? And that's one thing a lot of people try to do, or think that, okay, I'll lose weight if I stop eating. But a lot of times it's eating that stimulates your metabolism the most. And having something to burn.
At the end of the day, it also comes down to the volume of the food you're eating. So if you eat very healthy, so like you could eat terribly and hit your macros and like caloric intake, and you could still lose weight. You will feel like shit though.
Yeah.
But if you eat very healthy, you can consume a lot of volume. So like for me, for the day, I'll have like a plate this big. I'll have 4 plates of like chicken, rice, veggies, or steak, veggies.
4 meals?
4 of those.
Yeah.
I also have breakfast, which is like, oatmeal, eggs, spinach, and then I'll have like a grapefruit somewhere in the day. I'll have like 2 tablespoons of Nutella like before a workout or something. I don't know.
Just for some quick carbs.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I like to have something that's like simple carbs rather than complex carbs, because you want to really like have a little bit in there. It helps keep you balanced. But I don't know if this works. I've been testing it where it's consuming like Nutella before workout is a decent amount of fat, but also a decent amount of sugar. And I want to get my body used to saying,
and don't avoid fat. Whoever's avoiding fat, you're going to die.
Yeah. Well, I go down to like,
well, like, you know what I mean? You can't get away with not eating fat.
Yeah. You want to have at least 30, 40.
Yeah.
But like some people on diets consume 90. So like that may be a little high. Depends what your body composition is.
Know your body. Know your body. That's huge.
But the Nutella is to like basically say before a show, before I step on stage, I'll usually consume, fats and sugars to get me pumped up.
Yeah.
And also carbs, but like sugars are carbs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to get my body used to using those and immediately saying, okay, once you get that food in you, you're going to go work out and get a pump. So I've been doing it for like 6 weeks. I think it's been working. What's cool is like arm day or whatever, I'll measure my bicep before the workout and it's like 16 and a quarter. Then at the end of the workouts, it's 17 and a quarter.
Yeah, I was going to say the amount
an inch difference in circumference.
The amount of difference you might see in your body might come down to just how well your circulatory system's working. Because I mean, that pump, that's pretty much, especially with guys, that's what a lot of people love. I mean, that was always my favorite part, because you felt more secure. Your body felt like it was in a better posture. All your muscles are activated.
But when you're competing,
different.
that pump is necessary. So like I could be...
And you have to be on a strict diet, so it's harder to maintain that kind of pump because you can't be...
Yeah, so if you carb up too quickly on show day, say you
lose a lot
get there at 8 a.m. and you're going on stage at 1, and you start pumping up at noon, but then something happens and now you're not going on stage till 2, which happens all the time. So like when you're there, like your coach is with you, or like your person...
Do you have a coach?
I have a coach.
No kidding. You pay for the coach? And everything? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
She's about $75 a session. And then if like you're a new client, I think it's like $125 for a consultation.
That's awesome. Good for you, man.
But yeah, she's great. She's never told me her age, but she's up there a little bit if she watches this.
Hey, age has everything to do with knowledge and wisdom. It's probably the better thing to do. A lot of people take that for granted. you know.
But she really knows what she's talking about. And like right now, just like working with her, we do like, you know, weekly check-ins. Like I'll give her a call, like 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatnot, and say, this is what's going on. And then for like the actual sit down, like video chat, it's like an hour, like video chat due to COVID. Usually I would go up to New Hampshire because that's where she is. And I'd go to the gym and do like posing with her and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, posing's there's a lot more technique involved than most people think. It seems silly.
Key.
It seems silly at first glance, but there's got to be, I'm sure, a lot more technique and skill to it than most people would give credit for.
So like what's cool now is like, because I've like, you know, put on a bit of mass from like my first show. So like my stage weight, my first show was like, I think it was like 148 pounds, 150.
Yeah.
And right now I'm sitting at like 175.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping my stage weight will be like, you know, maybe 155 this time around. So when you're on stage.
So that's what you're going for? You got to drop 20 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
How much time you got?
Whatever, 115 days or something like that.
Oh, that's okay. You're good.
So.
Yeah. So really what you're doing is just bulking to accumulate as much muscle as you can and then just cut down on the fat after.
I wasn't necessarily bulking. I was just kind of like eating to satiety.
Yeah.
And then like once COVID started, I was like, well, I have time. I can get serious about it now. And I started increasing food intake a bit more, like how I was talking in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then now we're slowly manipulating the calories each day.
Yeah.
Like plus 200, minus 200, add carbs in for the plus 200, take them out for the minus 2, that type of stuff, just to see how the body reacts. So
have you been just going consistently through ever since like I worked out with you at WPI? Like, have you not stopped doing extra, you know, working out? And
not really, no.
No.
I mean,
awesome.
I've taken breaks here and there,
Yeah.
like the 2 or 3 weeks where I was doing the home workouts, I felt like that was a break.
Yeah.
There's been times like after a show, or like I did 2 shows like a month apart.
Yeah.
After that, I took a couple weeks off, and I was just like, let's like chill. Like,
yeah.
And that was probably a bad thing to do. I would say like after a show, get right back in the gym.
Yeah.
Like it makes the most sense. That's where your body will grow the quickest and fastest.
Yeah, I was gonna say you must be pretty exhausted after a show because of all the cutting and everything.
Yeah, it affects everybody differently, but like the biggest thing I would say is like sex drive.
Yeah,
that goes down.
Oh yeah, because I mean you're not only cutting down on how much food you eat, but you're exercising, and it's really hard to sustain like a high production of hormones at that point.
Yeah, people have done tests and like gotten like blood panels done, and basically they've determined that like when you compete, your testosterone levels drop by like almost half.
Yeah.
So like.
And that's the danger in it. That's kind of what I was saying. Like, I shouldn't say danger as if like it's bad to do it, but it's something most people probably aren't aware of going into it, and then they get a little wake up call, like, oh shit. So be prepared if you are somebody who is looking to compete or something like that. I mean,
it gets easier every time though.
Yeah.
Like the first time it's difficult. Like I was doing.
What's your placement on these competitions that you've competed in?
I've gotten 5th place in one.
Okay.
So I did one in Texas.
Yeah. No kidding. You went all the way to Texas?
Yeah, you know Alpha Elite?
Yes.
Yeah, I did their summer shredding competition.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Did you meet like Christian Guzman and all that?
I didn't meet him. Everybody was swarming him 24/7.
Yeah,
but like there was other people there and stuff. But like
I remember all those guys. I used to follow all of them.
That was the funnest show I've done.
Yeah.
Like hands down, everybody was awesome. They were like, there's like a camaraderie in the back. Like everybody was helping each other. Like even like right before you went on stage. Like up here in the Northeast, everybody's cutthroat and it's like staring you down, trying to get in your head. So it's like very different mentality. Yeah. But the shows up here, they were all polygraph tested, drug tested. Like if you won, you went and had to go take a piss test like 5 minutes after you stepped off stage.
Really?
Yeah, it's very strict. But the summer shredding one, it wasn't part of an organization. So like,
is there any supplements out there that people might be taking that would be surprisingly not allowed? Like
there's a whole like the WADA, the drug there's a drug list that basically says you can't consume these drugs.
Yeah.
So like if you compete in the WNBF or
can you have like creatine?
You can take creatine.
Oh, okay.
But like for the summer shredding show, there was no drug testing whatsoever, and you could tell.
Yeah, I was gonna say there'd probably be a few people up there like, yo, how old are you?
Like I felt
18.
I felt big, and then like I got there and I was like, I feel small as shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's almost no comparison when some dudes are on gas, gearing up. I mean, I remember there was a few kids. I don't want to mention any names, but it's surprising how big some kids can get, and they can be 18 years old, and they look like they're 35.
And I mean, and you can't say that like you don't put in the work after that. Like there's still a ton of work with it, and like if you go down that road, you just got to be safe about it. But like competing in an organization where there's so like such rigorous drug testing, like I'm a natural athlete. Yeah. It makes sense to stay a natural athlete. Elite for me.
Yeah. Well, the longevity, because you're probably not only just doing it to compete, but you want to be a healthy person. Right?
Exactly. I mean, so this is like a lifetime
self-development thing. I mean, some people might do it just for vanity, but the thing is, you can't sustain a lifetime of hormone replacement. You know what I mean? And or hormone supplementation. Though, like you said, there are a lot of easy ways. Not easy. There's a lot of safe ways to do it. So I don't want to be coming off as though I'm bashing it, because I do know a lot of people who take it very seriously and who do take performance enhancing drugs, and and honestly, there's so much science out there, and there's a lot of really good resources out there where you can do it safely. But the thing is, you can't do it forever, and that's what is a big turnoff.
Biggest thing is, like, if anybody's even consider it, like, go get a blood panel done. Yeah. Realize that it costs you $800 to go get a full blood panel. And say you need that every 6 weeks. If you can afford, if you're going to do performance enhancing drugs and you're going to do it the safe way,
that's crazy.
Get a blood panel every 6 weeks. Have your doctor look it over. That's commitment. Have your coach look it over, and set that money aside, and then go and do that. And make
sure you're that committed too, okay? If that's the case, because if you're just, I mean, when I was really lifting a lot, I can't tell you how many people I would follow on YouTube, and they would talk about, there was people just doing them. Go on the internet, they'd buy it and just take it. No professional guidance taking it. Nobody's monitoring their cycles. They're just doing it. You know what I mean? And then they end up with all these different problems.
And you might not, like, you might feel really good, like, for a year or 2 years, but then there's going to be, like, issues that develop.
Crash. And you might stop producing it on your own. Who knows? I mean, depending on your levels, your cycles, I mean, you have to look out for your endocrine system at that point.
And there are really good coaches out there that, like, strictly go by that. So, like, find them and go do stuff with them. But, like, have somebody watching your stuff if you are. I don't know if anybody wants to.
Yeah, I know. Have you ever considered doing anything that's, like, borderline? I know there's some stuff out there, like, what is it called?
SARMs
or something.
Like
somebody was talking to me about it the other day. And I guess it's like a off molecule of some sciencey stuff.
It hasn't been, like, tested enough to really, like, say what works and what doesn't. Right. But, like, I haven't hit my potential as a natural athlete yet. Yeah. So, and, like, I thought I did at one point, and then, like, that was like 2 years ago. Yeah. And now I'm, like, probably 8 or 9 pounds more muscle. Yeah. So, again, that's the thing, is, like, you don't gain muscle, like, very fast as a natural. Yeah. But, like, you could, if you work really hard, maybe 8 pounds in 2 years, like, maybe even 12.
Right. But, like, it all comes down to genetics at that point. Yeah. Because like the size of your muscles and everything. I mean, you could be fairly weak and have very big muscles. You know what I mean? It's just
the biggest thing I'd say to do is, like, go on Instagram, find the natural pro athletes.
Make sure he's natural too. There's a lot of people who claim they're natural.
So WNBF.
I think the online coach is natural. You ever see that guy?
Oh yeah, I have.
That Filipino guy.
I've seen the guy. I don't know.
Here, I'm gonna just show you him really quick. You gotta let me know, because I've heard he's not, and I followed him for a long time.
How old is he?
Online coach. He's gotta be like 30 something.
So there's an interesting thing, but, like, if people have been working on their physique for a very long time, they can get to a certain, like, maintenance level and look very good. Yeah. Like, I think Matt Does Fitness or something on Instagram. Like, I would say he's a natural.
Like, but this guy. He doesn't look it at all, dude. But like, in the way he does, but, like, at the same time, he's a big guy. Like, he's 2 inch. How tall are you? 5'8"?
I believe he was a judge at the summer shredding competition. Him? Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was.
Where was this?
That was in Stafford, Texas.
Oh, he might have been, because he lives out in California. Though, he's how tall are you?
I'm like 5'8.5", 5'9".
Yeah. He's right around there. I think he's like 5'5", and he weighs as much as you do.
Yeah, so, like, if you see, like, Jeff Nippard, like, on YouTube or something, like, he's natural. He competed in like, natural organizations. So, like, there's people, and then there's a lot of people I follow that are all naturals. And so, getting back to the main point was, like, go find all the natural pro athletes, like, on Instagram, follow them, like, WNBF is like the most rigorously tested, so that's why I'm suggesting that one.
Yeah.
And you can see that with years of lifting, these guys have maintained and built physiques that look like they may not be natural, but they are because they're tested.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't beat the like you could try to beat the polygraph, but then you have the piss test, you have other things. So like you could go to a WNBF show to support a friend.
Yeah. They
realize you're there and they ask you to go get tested.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so you may not even be competing.
They could just test you out of nowhere.
If you have a pro card, like, and you're at a show.
Well, I know they're really serious about it. They do some similar to that from what I'm familiar with for like UFC fighters.
Really?
They'll just be doing a camp somewhere, and somebody will come and test them, unannounced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like, organizations like that, like, but you can build a physique without and performance enhancing drugs. It's possible. It just takes time.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of really. I mean, yeah, that's definitely so true. Don't feel like you have to do them. In fact, most of the time, people aren't giving themselves enough time to see or reap the benefits of their hard work, because it's a long process.
And it's not just working out. Yeah. It's your nutrition, like it's your sleep.
And there's a lot of people who are getting into it now. So for those of you who are getting into it now, your mid-20s, know that you have to understand you have had now 25 or however many years behind you of not doing this. So don't expect to see incredible results in a month or two or even 3. You're gonna want to adopt this as a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Into your life as a routine. You know.
And at the end of the day, it's volume too.
Yeah.
So like for my workouts now, I remember like we did that workout back at WPI.
Yeah.
What did we do? Probably like 3 sets of 8 or something like that.
Yeah, with everything.
So like right now I'm doing maybe 6 sets of 8, or I'm doing like 5 sets of 12. Like
just continuously challenging the muscle and progressively overloading, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so like, was it over quarantine? Like my bench was like terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, because I had a minor pec tear.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago.
How'd you tear your pec?
I was just benching, like going at it, and then it just like hurt.
Ooh.
And I was like, and it was like a minor tear. I went and got an MRI done.
Yeah.
They checked out my shoulder too, because I was feeling a little stuff there, and they're like,
did you tear your labrum?
No, they said it was like, it's like a minor tear. Yeah. You can either get surgery or like do a bunch of physical therapy and like potentially have it get really like well healed by it, like on its own.
Yeah.
So like that was a while back, and just over quarantine I was like got my old gym stuff back, and I was like, well, I'm comfortable with this equipment. I'm not in a random gym like just trying to make stuff work and rushing around.
Yeah. So
like I really sat down and like went ham on the bench. Max bench right now is 275 for 1.
Whoa, that's
and
awesome.
Like I'm repping 245 on like, was it my 4th or 5th set now for 8 reps.
Oh shit.
So like,
good for you, bro.
The volume's there.
Yeah.
So
big
like,
time.
And I want to get to 315 at some point, but like,
oh, you'll get there.
That happened, and then like legs skyrocketed, like banging out 345 for like 32 reps.
That's
like,
awesome though. You healed that on your own. A lot of people would have been set back by that.
It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
I went and saw a lot of physical therapists, like a lot of people in the industry.
You just start out light, do a lot of just light, like basic.
It's a lot of those
exercises.
Like those foam rolling things where you do that stuff.
Oh yeah,
there's like the walk on the wall with the band type thing. A lot of
clocks.
All these random things. But like I don't do many of those anymore, because like what I think was a big thing was my chest was, I was like top heavy before. My chest was built up well and my back was lacking.
Yeah.
Then when
that's what it is for like every guy out there. If you're a dude and you're just benching, work your back. Okay. Rhomboids, mid traps, lower traps. So important.
So when
for your posture. You know?
So when this whole thing happened, I was like, all right, let's work out the back now. So I built up the back much more. And then once that happened, the chest was lacking. So then I had the back still, and now I started building the chest up. And now I feel like like the muscles are locked in place now. So like whereas before it was just kind of like a weird pull in certain places.
And real quick too, I wanted to pick your brain right before, because we're already at an hour here, but I want to pick your brain. I know that flew by. What are some quick tips on like food choices for people who are trying to gain or lose weight? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know what to eat. This is the kind of world we live in. It's like, what do you eat?
So depending what you're doing, you just kind of want to eat healthy. So like if you were looking for protein sources, you got your chicken, your steak, your turkey, got eggs. You don't need to use the yolk. You can take the yolk out so you minimize the fat.
Right.
But like natural egg whites, they just taste a lot better, especially on prep. You notice little differences in food.
Yeah.
So those are like some protein sources there.
So a lot of people go towards like supplements right away. What's
No.
your take on that? I was gonna say, because like a lot of the times it's like you're always better off with real food.
Yeah, so like I try to get like a protein shake in here and there, but that's like to like hit my protein intake for the day.
Yeah, because that's hard. That's the hardest one if you're.
Yeah,
I've noticed that one. Because I tracked my macros for about 2 years, and that was always.
Yeah.
It couldn't be done, like without a protein shake.
Well,
I guess it could, but I'd be so stuffed.
Yeah, I mean, I get about 170 grams of protein a day, and like some days I don't have the protein shake, some days I do.
Yeah.
But like, I cook 15 pounds of chicken every
There
2
you go.
weeks. I cook 5 pounds of steak each 2 weeks. So
Oh
like,
my God.
it's a lot of food. I
Grocery
go to BJ's,
grocery
Costco.
shopping must be a blast.
Yeah, go to
like there's a
wholesale
hoarder. There's a hoarder. And it's like Ryan, like, no, this is just no.
Actually, I got in an argument with a lady at BJ's, the
Really?
cashier at BJ's the other day.
What happened?
I was getting 3 things of chicken. She
Yeah.
was like, you only can get 1.
What?
And I was like, all right, lady, I got some time, so we can walk over to the like little sign where it tells us that I can get 3.
Yeah.
Because I was all out of food.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna go to Stop and Shop and spend $30
Right.
on the same thing that's $10 at BJ's. She was like, oh, they must have changed the sign. So I was like, okay, cool, that's easy. Like, not like a bad moment, but I was just like, I need the food.
No, tensions are high. Leave the house. It's crazy out there, man.
But so healthy foods, let's say for carbohydrates. So that's the biggest thing is like you want to minimize the sugar. Don't get rid of it,
Right.
but like minimize it. Still have a cookie or like a brownie or whatever you want each day. Like try to keep it around 40 to 60 grams of sugar.
Right.
At that point, then you want to say, right, you want complex carbs. So your brown rice, you can go and buy like I think a 10-pound bag at Stop and Shop for like $12 or something. So like that's a really easy, cheap one. You can do pastas. I don't like them too much. It seems to be like a pretty fast-acting carbohydrate for me.
Yeah.
You can use lentils, which I believe are a little higher in fat, but that's also a good carb source. Let's see, oatmeal.
Oatmeal's huge. It's an easy one to take in too.
You can do. Some people don't respond well to steel cut oats, so you can use oat bran instead, which is like finer, like cut up oats.
Right.
You can make muffins with that in the morning or something like that if you want like a quick meal, so you can prep them like the week before or whatever. You want some fruit for other simple carbs, so like apples, grapefruit. Nuts are an interesting one.
Well, it's both. It's a good source of protein and fat, right?
Yes and no. There's like
It's hard to get in a lot of nuts.
Usually there's like you only want about an ounce of nuts.
Yeah.
So it's like 16 to 20 grams of fat.
Why is that?
Because it's 16 to 20 grams of fat in an ounce.
Oh,
so like
gotcha.
you don't want to be consuming a ton of like one macro at one time.
Yeah.
So like for me, about 40 grams of carbs at one time is enough for me. Otherwise my body's like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
20 grams of fat is enough for me. Like 30 grams of protein, enough for me. So that's why like, I have a few meals throughout the day, because otherwise my body's like, whoa, that's a lot of food, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's the hardest part. Eating when staying healthy, the gym's the fun part.
Oh yeah.
Eating is like can be rigorous.
But on the subject of the nuts though, I would suggest walnuts as my top choice, or pecans as my second, or pecans, however you want to say it.
Pecans.
So those, it's just I guess for lack of a better term, better fat to consume. Like I feel like my body absorbs that really well. Like I'll eat like an ounce of those sometimes if I don't have the Nutella or something.
That's the coolest part. Diving into it. So I know a lot of people will be probably right away a little indifferent, be like, what do you mean feeling what you eat? What the you know what I mean? Food's food. But once you get your health in order, quit drinking all the time and eating shitty food, it's amazing how eating right and eating makes you end up, you have a sense of what you're taking in. You actually become what you eat, and you get a little bit more sensitive to that. But with that sensitivity comes a lot of, you end up also feeling better. You know what I mean? You actually having a higher rate of success for good days in your life, because this day is better versus like, why does it feel like I've been in a shitty mood or depressed or anxious for a couple weeks, and that usually is attributed to your diet. Like you said, keeping your sugar levels low.
The biggest thing is water.
Right? Like, water and low sugar levels. I found
like if there's anything you take away from this, those two things. Yeah. But like water, I consume a gallon to 2 gallons a day right now. And like, if I don't have a lot of water in the day, like I'm tired, lethargic. Yeah. Like I notice like my forearm muscles, my legs will start to cramp.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of water in my body.
Yep.
And like your body's
and being
used to
somebody
that.
too with probably more muscle mass than you would naturally have in you know what I mean, not naturally have, but you're sustaining it because you have to work for it, you know what I mean? So your body is now almost functioning a little bit differently because you're forcing it to grow in a productive fashion. And yeah, you don't have to be thirsty to need water. Just so you know, you do not. You could not have a clue that you're thirsty, or rather dehydrated, and really need water.
It's difficult in the beginning, but like literally go spend like 87 cents, go to the grocery store, go get yourself one of the plastic gallons. And just try to drink it. Start at 8 a.m. in the morning and try to finish it in the
Gallon
day.
challenge is easily one of the shortest cuts to improving your lifestyle and your diet. Is finding a way to get in 3.5 to 4 liters a day.
There's actually an equation for it. It's like
based off your gender,
country.
I guess, and your height and all that. But generally, if you can get around 3.8 liters a day, you're going to be in really good shape. You'll feel the difference. Yes, you'll be peeing a little bit at first. Get over it. You know what I mean? Like that's the
that will
biggest
start to go away too.
I can't tell you how many times I gotta pee all the time. It's like, dude, so what? Go pee. You know what I mean? What are you doing that doesn't allow you to go to the bathroom? There's a bathroom everywhere now. You know what I mean? Just it's a slight inconvenience at first, but after a while, your body starts to become more productive with that water, and you don't end up peeing all the time. He drinks 2 gallons a day. We've been here for an hour plus.
Yeah, a real simple thing to do is before every meal, like get like a 16-ounce thing of water.
Yeah.
And I literally most of the time just chug a 16
Japanese
ounce of water.
man. I call it doing the Japanese man. I joke, but I saw it in some meme. It wasn't a meme. It was a video on Facebook years ago describing how good it is for your body to consume 16 ounces of water first thing in the morning before eating. Just to let water circulate, just to hydrate your muscles, because most people, I don't know how long you sleep or when you went to bed, but the period of time you spent not drinking water before you went to bed, then the period of time you spent sleeping, now it's been 9, 10, 11 hours. I don't know how long you sleep. You're sleeping good if you're getting 11, right? But you wake up, you're dehydrated as shit, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, I'm like parched in the morning.
Oh, I always am. I can't even eat before I drink. I don't know how people, isn't that crazy how that's sort of built into society? Coffee first thing, like a diuretic right away. Like, damn, bro, you're going for the cuts. You know what I mean?
I drink a lot of coffee though.
Yeah, I know, but first thing in the morning, do you drink coffee first thing in the morning? I know most people that's the first thing they drink.
Well, right now I'll do a cup of water and then L-glutamine and then coffee.
Oh, okay. So hey, well, at least you get some water into the system, right? Just to process. But it's amazing, and I'll wrap this up here. Really, really amazing too how multifaceted you are with this, being that you're an electrical and before you were a nuclear engineer on during the day as your main job, but extremely knowledgeable in the you know what I mean, in the bodybuilding industry, just the fitness industry in general. Most people, I mean, I've worked with so many different coaches, and you'd be surprised how many people don't make it this far into it.
Really?
It's a very frivolous field. People will get into it and they have these expectations. The expectations aren't met, as you know, I've probably seen, and people stop. Either whether it's oh, you have?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I started my first show with 2 coaches and then ended up with 4.
It's a thinning crowd, man, because people go into it, like I said, and it only lasts so long before I guess it doesn't meet your expectations.
Yeah. And if you do get a coach, don't be afraid to fact check them. Like I used to go over my macros with one of the coaches I had, and I'd calculate them out, and I'd be like, "That's not right."
Well, even from an anatomic standpoint, like your knowledge of how the muscles work is really, really good. And that's why I want to encourage you guys, if you got a chance, check out his Instagram and follow his progress along, because I mean, you're coming up on that 3rd competition now. So
yeah, we're 4th competition.
4th competition now. Holy shit! So there you go.
And I'm finally actually posting on Instagram again. So,
yeah, there you go.
There'll be stuff there.
So there'll be some stuff there. I'll link it again. What is it?
McQuaid.fit.
Yeah, and thank you so much for coming in, man. This is awesome. It was great seeing you. It was great catching up. It's been a blast from the past seeing all these people, man.
Yeah.
But keep up the good work, dude. It's a lot of awesome information you're putting out there, and I think a lot of people can benefit from that. So, all right, guys, see ya.